Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second in a series of one-on-one sessions with the one and only Vince as a part of our Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle here at Mayday Roleplay, Vegas by Night. Vince, thank you for being here for another journey into Raguel's past, present, and future here. I'm so happy to have you here, man.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me. It feels really, really good to be back. This is my first time playing Raguel since I left.
No.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to step back into this.
Especially long for you. I know it's been long for all of us. This is maybe just a few days before we start off season 2, but for you, it's a season and a half, really.
Really, yeah.
We're going to do our best to at least give a glimpse into what Raguel has been up to. Honestly, who could say it's a lot, considering he's been in Torpor? But we're going to try and do the best to give you the long and juicy details of laying prone in a temple for a very long time. Let's see how that comes about. You know?
Absolutely.
We want to remind everyone up in front that these one-on-ones are only possible because of our Patreon, and that this is an effort put forward to try and promote our season 2 of Vegas by Night. We're looking forward to starting up again, and our first streaming date, of course, is on the 6th of this weekend. I'm sure that this will come out after our first date, but we're going to plan on doing every 2 weeks. We'll have another live stream of the next episode up until the end of Arc 2, essentially. So we'll go until we're all dead, which is my hope. My only dream is to see all of you dead, and then I get to wear the beanie right after.
That's right. Yes.
Well, I'll kill you for a second time. Who's to say there's no second death?
That's true. We got final death.
Turn you guys to dust. That's the plan.
All right.
And just think of it this way, Vince. Raguel, because he's so fresh to being dead, would return to the level of decay since he's died. So you'd still be a corpse. You'd be
small. Yeah, it's stinky. Yeah. Small. What's it? Small victories.
Yeah, small victories. If you die now, Genevieve can find something, right?
Fuck, man. God damn. All right, we're starting off strong, ladies and gents and folks and everybody. Yeah.
Well, I've got to try and get back into the mode of DMing this thing. I sometimes forget how to be the storyteller, so I gotta remind you all that death is imminent.
Yep. No. Remember that.
Raguel.
Yes.
You are in a temple in Las Vegas, watching your friends leave as the final stake descends down on your chest from your teacher above you. The temple is quiet, so quiet that it reminds you of days when you were just a child, days when you would go to temple with your family, maybe particular days just before summer vacation when they would send you away to summer camps to swim in lakes, to explore quarries, to see the world with people of like-minded faiths. And this would be the last of those forays into religion with your parents before weeks without them, without supervision, without closeness and intimacy that only comes with family. And you feel that small for the length of time it takes for that dagger to come down. You are once again a small kid in cargo shorts and a shirt too big for your frail body, a Star of David around your neck, and legs that aren't long enough to reach the floor of the temple as you sit in the pew next to your mother and father. Tell me a little bit before you die again, what Raguel's childhood was like, what those days were like, what your parents were like, what it felt to be that child.
Yeah, Ethan's parents, who are both dead now, were kind, they were loving, they were strict, but they very much embodied the tenets of Reform Judaism and open-mindedness and welcoming, natures and kindness and good deeds. And they were loving. They wanted the best for him and pushed him to succeed and pushed him to be better than he was the day before. As one of the last things he said to the coterie before he surrendered to Mokur. Summers away from, to just explore and, like you said, be with those other children of like-minded faith and upbringings and relative absolute freedom, under the watchful gaze of counselors and
of some very talented 17-year-olds.
Of extremely talented 17-year-olds, right? But those fond memories give way to loss. As we age and we mature, it's almost like dying a second death in some ways, right? You mature and you step into a world of never-ending responsibility, and and then both his parents passed away, and it was just him and just his single-minded focus on his job, and it feels like dying again as he watches that dagger come down, and I think it culminates with regret of, watching the coterie leave and feeling like he's let them down.
The slab underneath you is cold, the altar that you're draped across, but even colder is that dagger, that responsibility entering into the remainder of everything that you are. You're not much left. But this is somehow splintering you even further, like the break of a stake, like the shards entering into you now. For many, this state is the end of being. Torpor is only the next step into dust. For some, it is an instant death to be attacked in this way, to be severed from the soul and its curse. But now, for you at least, it is a lock over a door. It is a blinder over a racing horse. It is a blindfold to an all-seeing eye. To delay exaggeration, you are in a realm of black for years. And it feels as though that way. It is unexplainable to anyone who has not experienced it, and it will be a memory that if you do come out of this torpor, you will have for the rest of your second life, for the rest of your undeath. You float in this inky blackness that is truthfully just freezing cold and almost like the feeling of nerve damage across the body. As you can feel this electricity, this neural network of pain run through everything that you are. And it almost uses the dagger in your chest as a lightning rod to deliver that across you. This status is seemingly unending. And while there is the patient understanding that you are still conscious, thought alone is difficult. There are passing beliefs and memories, like moments of you in that temple, moments with Genevieve and the callus of her palms, of your rabbi and the deep, boisterous laugh that he employed on services following his sermons, of drifting feelings and words and phrases and smells. It is the dying of the sensory floating through this thin sieve as you try to collect everything and hope to God that as it leaves you, it doesn't leave forever. The period of torpor is extensive, and there will be a role associated with what we are doing here.
Okay.
To break from torpor. But before we get to that, there is a moment in that inky blackness where sound first intercedes. You hear this slow and low music. At first you think classical, but immediately you do recognize it as being the low-toned, always kept small on the volume, expressions of the music that Genevieve would listen to when she was getting ready for something. It is miles away. Down the turnpike, it is a 90-mile stretch. Just the hint of this plucking of strings, lots of string music that leaks through the air and fills this black space. Is there anything that you would like to do in this black torpor, in this mindscape? I know that it doesn't provide a lot for the physical in action, in choice, in agency, but there is that agency we have almost in daydream or lucid control.
Yeah. He is going to, still coming to terms with the state that he's in and where he is, and the just the sense that this constant kind of low pain throughout whatever he perceives as his conscious form. He's going to try to move, to project, like to shift his consciousness closer to where that music is coming from.
Okay. In order to project, in order to move, to create space, to sort of cast yourself across an astral plane of pain, essentially, I'd like to see if we could let's do resolve plus your blood potency, which I believe you're just at blood potency 1, right?
Correct, yep.
Let's do resolve plus your blood potency.
Okay.
And we'll consider that since you are in a state of torpor, that you are in an extended, extreme amount of hunger.
Okay.
So let's roll on 4 hunger dice.
4 hunger, got it. Okay. Let me add my hunger there. We are using demiplane for the first time, so here we go. We're giving it a shot. All right, hunger 4.
It's going to be a nightmare roll for sure.
One potency, yeah, it's going to be tough. So let's do this. That is 2 successes.
2 successes is beautiful. You can feel that while you are in the same place, it's almost as though the world begins to start moving around you. That the synapses that are snapping like loose wires in your mind across the corpse that you are, whatever Cain's curse is hopping from each one to the other to take you to these new places. And before long, in addition to that music, which is now so much closer to you that you can feel it as though in another room, almost like the first time that you heard Heaven or Las Vegas or Suspicious Minds, as though it was coming through across the wall, never in the same room as you. And there is a unique smell that immediately you recognize, immediately brings comfort, maybe the first comfort you felt in perhaps the 5 years of torpor you've been experiencing in your mind. It has been days of lunacy, of thought, of vision, of contemplation that has come through this, and now, for the first time, a positive feeling. Could you tell me first what Ethan's apartment smelled like?
Oh, man. That is a great question. Ethan's apartment, he was clean, but it was essentially just a step above a studio, right? Like, this was a place for him to lay his head when he wasn't working. It pretty much it was sparsely decorated. It was the bare minimum necessities needed to sustain life, right? But it smelled like, I mean, like all homes do, right? It's just that smell that you can't quite place, that just when you know it when you smell it. But then also, like, Genevieve, like her lotion, her perfume, her shampoo, like just the various things of, another presence being brought through and into a place, and those traces being left behind, mingling in a way that evades description.
Those smells are especially present here today. The little remnants of the people we love that stay behind, whether they're there or not. And given the small amount of time that Raguel spends inside of this place, it only makes sense that Genevieve's presence could be noticed so easily. You realize now that you are physical enough that you are placed horizontal in your apartment bed, the queen-sized bed that you keep in your main bedroom. You know it well. Your eyes are still closed, but you're aware of the sheets underneath you and the smell of Genevieve's lotion, like cocoa butter in the other room. You can hear that music. You can hear water running in the restroom. And you can feel your apartment. Is there anything you would like to do in this moment?
He's going to feel for the pulse in his neck.
You go to... I'd almost like to ask you which you would like to feel. Are you hoping for a pulse, or are you hoping not?
I think part of him is hoping to feel a pulse. Yeah.
You reach up and put your hand to your neck, and there's nothing there whatsoever until that thought that maybe in this world I could be alive. And that thought alone breathes a pulse into you, almost artificially, as the first second of disappointment brings on its existence. And suddenly, yes, you do have a pulse here.
Wow. Okay. He is going to... Is it daylight?
Your eyes are not open yet. In fact, in this weird black eternity, into the oblivion that you only imagine that this is what Mal deals with on an everyday, you're not even aware that you have eyes.
Yeah, he'll think, like, now being cognizant that just thinking about having a pulse, presented one, he'll think of opening his eyes.
Beautiful. Could you do me a favor, and could you roll, let's do resolve plus aspects to create some eyes?
Okay. Sure. Let's do it. Hot damn. That's 7 successes.
Okay, beautiful. With 7
wasting them all now.
Yeah. With 7 successes, fucking wild. How does this manifest? What sort of vision do you return? Do you have your 2 regular Ethan eyes? Is Raguel here, present in the forehead? Do you grow 50 eyeballs? What is it in this ether that you're floating through that you create out of the astral projection of your curse?
I think right now being overwhelmed by the memory of these sensations and being alive again. I think he's very much focused on Ethan as opposed to Raguel.
Right.
And I think it's going to be normal. Like he's going to remember what it was like to be alive, and remember those normal eyes without the third in his forehead.
You are sort of bandied into these two eyeballs and constrained into its sight. And it is dizzying at first, as that third perspective you had just now gotten used to is now removed, and you're back to seeing things from that limited understanding of the world, even here trapped inside of your mind. And so it's almost like you've closed off a section of yourself from the world. But you are Ethan again. You have a pulse, you have two eyes, your skin looks healthy and real. You are sitting in your apartment. The window to your left is maybe the only thing of this place that has any amount of class or nicety. It was an expensive apartment that you filled with nothing. And so truthfully, the structure of this place is really the only impressive nature to it. So you have this large four-paned crisscross view of Vegas, and you can see the strip from your southern section looking out. The strip view apartment, which your realtor or the property manager, at least, who sold you this place, assured you that you were getting your money's worth, that this is what everyone wanted, that everyone paid for a Meadows View apartment, that you're going to love it. And you recall those blackout curtains on either side that you'd put up almost immediately so you could sleep if you needed to get the neon away from your apartment.
Yeah.
It is a view of the meadows. It is nighttime, maybe 9 p.m., 10 p.m. It doesn't seem to be too late in the night. In fact, you could check a clock if you wanted to see a specific time frame. But outside, the neon is blaring. It is so bright that it almost blurs the existence of the structures they sit on. And in the sky, the moon is larger than you have ever seen it, as though it has not just eclipsed the sun, but it has drawn in distance to the perspective of the world. It is almost an inch off our atmosphere from this perspective. You think that in the correct position, you could see Neil Armstrong's flag planted clearly from your porch window. And the light is magnificent from it. And down below, you swear in the darkness that is not Las Vegas, in the meadows that surround, outside of the highways leading in, you swear that you can see shapes dotting the dust and desert around it, moving, almost converging on Vegas. Is it possible to make out what they look like? In this mindscape, with your perfect 7 success eyes, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Let's make a wits plus awareness if you really want to see what they are.
Listen, this ain't Delta Green, so
okay. Yeah, there's no sanity checks.
I shall see, and I shall bear witness.
Okay.
An awareness, got it. Oh, that's a good pool. 3 successes, not bad.
3 successes. You see a familiar sight, but one that feels eerie to be perceiving inside of your own mind. In perfectly formulated triangles are the... it's almost as though your eyes focus in, as if sifting across the desert, as though you're no longer in your apartment. You're now some buzzing bee across the meadows, or a bat flapping its wings against the wind, a coyote running along the surface of Las Vegas, and you're zoomed in on top of them, this big drone shot that comes through, and you can see that it is the familiar perfect triangular formation of these pale white painted bodies, completely naked, completely bared. They're scarred and changed in places. Their bodies not entirely human. extended, elongated, wrapped, sutured, combined together. Some are taller than they should be, shorter than they should be, coagulated, but all of them marching in union towards the meadows, towards Las Vegas.
And these are the ones we heard about. The name is escaping me. Vampires that have gone bestial.
There has been some rumors, yes, that the gangrels are having some trouble keeping it in their pants. And this first triangle revealed itself to your first night in Vegas on the way back.
That's right, the dancing, yeah. Whites? Is that what they call whites?
You were attacked by a white shortly after seeing them, but there's no guarantee that these are whites. Whites are, of course, nomenclature within Vampire the Masquerade to describe vampires who have gone far too past their hunger. In fact, usually whites are created when you've been in torpor for too long.
Okay.
Something to consider. In a second when we roll our little torpor die. Yes, you have this vision of these triangle formation folks. Are you snapping back to the apartment? Are you staying out here with them?
I want to see if they're being led.
Okay. So you're moving forward past them. The mind of the wind that your mind is carried on, zipping through and over them. There's this disgusting, undulating call that they are making to each other, like a low ode vowel cast off to each other. And just as your formation casts it, the next formation answers back like beasts in communication. And moving past that, you do find that there is a figure that is horse-like, is the best that I can describe it. Not the first time that you've had visions of one or experienced one. But it runs at the front of this pack. It is longer than any horse should be, and made of pure black, and the head of which has been sheared to the bone, and exists almost exclusively as a skeletal skull sitting on top of the purebred black fur of this horse. It peels back and almost forms like a comb over of flesh that sits in and then begins to decay into a horse's skull. And that is essentially what is leading them.
Okay. Damn. Yeah, they're not going to play the slots. I think we know that.
Okay.
So, yeah. That was just probably obvious. I mean, he'll stay with them until it becomes obvious, like kind of what happens next, I guess. I think he's drawn into this.
Okay. You're leaving Genevieve behind.
Oh, fuck.
Oh. He's having second thoughts. Yeah.
Can I make a roll to see what he would do?
Yeah.
I know it's dumb, but
we can make a premonition roll, can't we?
Yeah.
Let's make a direct premonition roll.
Because I think right now they're like the idea of being like the living Ethan is in direct conflict with the dead and dying Raguel. And I like the memory of the past is intermingling with what he experienced after his first death, and knowing that this is important, but knowing that the promise of better things is behind him, I think he's torn. So
perfect. I love that. Go ahead and give me a wits plus aspects, and let's decide.
I can do that for sure.
Premonition is handled.
That's a great pull too.
I I'm sure it is. Oh, I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Resolve plus aspects.
Resolve. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is 3 successes, but I got a skull and a hunger die.
That's okay, because 3 successes is a success, so your skull doesn't affect this here.
Okay.
You are at a crossroads suddenly as this tear in your forehead begins to emanate behind your flesh. Your eye becomes prescient in this moment as you become obsessed with the idea to follow, to see where the horse leads. I will put it in this perspective. You will learn different information dependent on who it is you follow, the horse or Genevieve.
Fuck. Okay.
In a perspective of your world, Ethan is with Genevieve. Raguel is with the horse.
Okay.
Ethan is worried. Raguel is on the case.
I think Raguel stays. I think Raguel pursues.
Okay, you're following the horse.
Yeah.
Okay. You can hear in the back of your mind Genevieve calling out to you. It is in a muffled state, to the point where you cannot hear her words being so far from her now. But it was inquisitive with a state of maybe emergency. It's too tough to tell.
Fuck. All right. Choices and decisions.
Choices and decisions.
Oh, man.
Follow the horse as it rides, and eventually, as you're coming through, you follow as far as your vision will take you until the blackness of your mind takes over again, and it's almost as though you're passing through a veil. You're casting over that horse as you bird-like survey over the expanses of the meadows, and just as you've gone too far, you're back into the black ink, and then coming through to another side, and you wake up in your office.
Okay.
You're sitting in the executive chair of your corner office, the Las Vegas Sun. Your windows are all drawn except for the corner piece that also looks out on the meadow. Conveniently, Ethan has a lot of time to stare at Las Vegas without actually having to be there. The glow of your 2 monitors are casting over you this screensaver of you and Genevieve, and basically the 2 of you at one of Genevieve's events, posing almost for a newspaper itself for the advertisement of her movements to help the homeless situation in the sewers. You are posing with her arms around each other. You recall it was the first time she ever made a move like that, to be as public with your relationship as to put it in pictures. And you are standing next to what you imagine is probably a much healthier version of your favorite fluffy companion, and a homeless individual standing next to him. Your beloved dog is sitting at your heels, not entirely sure as to whether he belongs in the original picture when you were alive or not, but he's here now, And the homeless individual sitting next to him possesses these bizarre, pupilless white eyes that really only contain the black centers, essentially, in those big white vacuous eyelids. He's wearing almost 6 different coats, you'd guess. Like, so many layers on him, you can't imagine how he does during the day in Vegas. But at night, surely he'd be warm. His pants are rolled up past his ankles, and on either side are brands to those ankles. And the brands themselves are of... It's almost like tattoo script, but burned in, essentially. It is stalks of wheat that run along the sides. You can barely make it out along the dirt and the grime and everything, but there's something in the back of your mind that identifies it immediately. And there's this memory of your mother and yourself driving through countryside and seeing stalks of wheat in this big field for the first time. And then it zaps back to that screensaver of that wide-eyed man staring back at you. His feet are exposed, dirtied, everything you'd expect of someone who has lived unhoused for years, but the ends are beginning to decay and rot. You can see to ivory bone.
Okay.
Is there anything you'd like to do in your office while you're here? The blinds are drawn to the rest of the cubicles, so traditionally the other writers could see into your office when the blinds are up. With them down, neither can see through. The door to your office is locked from the other side, but of course you could leave that glass door with the sun embroidered or reliefed on the front. And the lights are drawn off, except for the monitor's glow in front of you. And you think you're alone.
Yeah. I'm gonna study that photo for a little bit longer, and then he's gonna think about just reaching down and nudging the mouse.
Okay. Is there anything you're looking for in particular in the photo?
So it's only the 4 people. It's Ethan, it's Genevieve, it's Rufus, and it's this strange man with the stalks of wheat. Yeah.
Essentially, it's Genevieve. Your arm is around Genevieve on your right side. This homeless individual is crouched with Rufus in a hold, almost in a very friendly hold. Rufus seems to enjoy his presence. Your hand is on his shoulder.
So it's like, okay.
It's almost
so it's like I know him.
Yeah, like you know him enough to take the picture with him. You all seem jovial and in good spirits. Genevieve has this beautiful laugh on her face that creases the sides of her smile and makes her, those wrinkles in her face look beautiful in the moment. And you can just tell that she was having the time of her life. You're alive and in a suit that, looks expensive but lacking in flair, like you usually did. It's a good suit on a person who doesn't really care to dress well, or cares to dress well, doesn't care to dress styled, I should say. You look young and well. There's nothing in the forehead of your face.
Yeah.
Your hands are young and uncalloused. You're holding on to this man, and you're standing in front of what you imagine is probably the tunnel you use to get into Little Vegas.
Oh, okay. All right, there we go. That's not normal. Is the guy, is he wearing a hat, a beanie? Is his head exposed? Is his forehead exposed?
His head is exposed. He has, how would I describe it? It's almost like if he wasn't living unhoused, he would replicate almost like a James Dean cut. He's older. I'd say maybe in his 40s.
Okay. And I don't recognize him.
No. Well, give me a wits plus awareness.
I was gonna say, yeah, because Nosferatu is springing to mind. Man, 5 successes, dude. I don't know what's happening.
Beautiful. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Torpor's helping you. You don't recognize him, but you do notice, looking squarely at him, trying to place him, that he is not entirely of Caucasian descent. You guess that he's maybe from the Middle East somewhere.
Okay.
Tanned, brown skin that at first you may have taken for a tanned Caucasian man, but is closer to like light-skinned Middle East complexion.
Got it. Okay.
And the features themselves are very much in line with the Middle East.
So the stalks of wheat, the tattoos are all I see, nothing on his hands. Yeah.
His hands are wearing fingerless gloves. His nails are dirtied and unhoused.
Yeah. I think he's good. He'll just nudge that mouse and see what's on the other side. Like opening a door. Yeah.
Yeah. You move the mouse, and up comes a almost like a first draft writing, the same sort of formatting. I'm not a journalist, but probably first draft and it's just some InDesign from Photoshop, whatever it may be.
Yep.
The layout software that looks as though you are working hard on replicating how this article will come to piece, or at least you're looking at the latest of whatever the editor has sent down of what your article will look in final proof appears.
Okay.
There's a story that is written exclusively in the same phrase, repeated over and over and over and over again, is the word keeper.
Okay.
And it is written by Raguel. Just the one word.
Okay.
And underneath is a Hebrew writing, essentially, that I am going to send to you now in Discord, which you can attempt to translate now, or you can leave that for later, but there is some Hebrew script underneath. Now, if you would like to, Raguel does know Hebrew, so we could roll off of Raguel's understanding, or you can use Vince's understanding and try and translate yourself, whatever you'd like to do.
I don't have the ability to copy and paste the text because it came as an image.
Yeah.
But let's go with let's see if he remembered, if Ethan remembered enough from his days prior to his bar mitzvah.
Yeah, we're going back to temple days. Let's see how well Rabbi Levi did for you. Let's go with academics plus intelligence.
Got it. Beautiful. Academics. It's only a 1.
Remember that. Well, you can't. I'm sorry. I was going to say that you could blood search, but you're already in torpor. There's not a whole lot you can do with your blood here.
Yeah, 0 successes.
I think that this is going to be a investigation for Vince then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it seems as though those words in Hebrew underneath exist, and it is bolded.
It's repeated. Okay.
Repeated. So the article itself is written by Raguel, and underneath in Hebrew is that language, and then repeated is keeper. Keeper for forever.
Yep. Fuck.
The pictures included in that article are horrible to witness. There are pictures of a burning, broken Vegas. There is a depiction of Fremont Street the entire stretch that sits underneath the lighted arch where bodies line the entirety of it in piles. And two strange individuals silhouetted by the camera flash stand nonchalantly by those piles discussing. There is images of the broken strip of the buildings that have come down on Las Vegas Boulevard. There is a depiction of an inferno that sets out in the desert of Las Vegas, in the meadows just north of the city. There are depictions of locals that have been filleted and opened. And most strangely, there is a medieval wall that has been constructed around the entirety of that city. And these pictures denote very up-close portraits of the wall's construction, and it is engraved with this bizarre filigree and artwork that you can't quite place. It doesn't depict an image of any sort, but it looks ancient. And then just past that, these piles of sand that have been collected around the wall itself. And in the center, most notably, is a castle born of the dying vestiges of the structures of the Strip. Almost as though they took the stratosphere and collapsed it, and the Aria and collapsed it, and Caesars and collapsed it, and built a castle in the center.
Jesus Christ.
It is awful to witness, Raguel. But it's yours. It's your last story.
The figures in the photo. You said there were two figures.
Yeah.
Light enough to make out?
Not in feature, but maybe in form. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Give me a wits plus insight.
Got it. It's a little better than that last one. Let's see. 3 successes.
Unfortunately, it's not enough.
Okay.
You don't feel as though you know them, but there's a part of you that hears, as you're looking at those two forms, hears that mumbling of Genevieve so far away again. That harshed and lost language. Maybe that could have helped you here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's where. Anything else you'd like to do in this room?
Last question is: does the filigree and the artwork along that wall resemble like the stalks of wheat, like the engraving and the branding on the homeless man's ankles?
Give me an intelligence plus insight.
Okay. Yeah, 1 success.
It doesn't resemble the stalks of wheat, but it does resemble something else that you have an awareness of, but you did not see. There is a vision briefly that is like the swaying of Burroughs's pattern shirt, and then the stomp of one of Niles's combat boots in thin inches of water that collide with craggy rock surface.
Okay.
That's all you get.
Got it. Beautiful. Yeah. With that, I think he'll get up and like now answers beget more questions kind of thing, right? He's going to get up and move to the door. Well, first he's going to look out, and does the strip that he sees outside his window now resemble the one in this article?
It absolutely does. Thank you for asking. It pretty much exactly tells the story of the article that you're writing.
Okay.
But the biggest difference is that those triangles of the forms have returned with the horses, or the horse, excuse me, singular horse, there's only one, leading them to the meadows, same as before. And rather than that castle in the center, there's one major difference. There is a massive boulder crashed into the center of Las Vegas, and the boulder, cast in dried crimson blood, reads Keeper.
Okay. Got it. Great. He's gonna go to the door, see what waits him on the other side.
Give me a survival plus resolve.
Okay. Ooh. One success.
Were you ever a Boy Scout?
Vince was.
Well, then Vince will know that when you touch a hot handle, it usually has one reason on the other side of it.
That's what we call fire. Yeah. Okay, so not great.
There is this primordial fear in you as the beast roils inside of you, and you feel that innate, terrifying reaction that only comes when a creature of your curse is around flame like this. Could you give me a composure plus a third of your willpower? I think it's a third. Is it a third? It's either a third or half. 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Resist. Willpower plus a third of your humanity rolled down. Roll that for me.
Okay, so you said willpower plus a third of my humanity?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, willpower plus
Got
a third
it.
of your humanity. I forgot that composure resolve doesn't have anything to do with it.
Okay, so that is that's 4 successes.
Beautiful. You can quell the beast.
Okay.
And the beast is at bay. In fact, you feel peaceful. And as your hand touches onto that heat, onto that fire, your ability to keep composed cools the door. And you feel as though it's safe to step through.
Okay. Yeah, stepping through.
Ethan has been through a lot in Las Vegas. And in his depiction of everything that goes on in this city, he had to go to a lot of places. He had to die to be there. He had to live again to have a real understanding of what he was searching for. But in most of his living, he has never smelled what this is. There is a sound of crackling, broken flesh, like that of an animal at a grill. As you step through the door and find that the cubicle fluorescent lights that run across the rest of the office are all on for each of your coworkers. And you find that they are all sitting neatly at their desks, hands at the home position on their keyboards, typing away as you hear the cracking, the clacking, cracking, and breaking of the keyboards as they hit each key. But each body at those seats are in a blaze of fire, independent to their corpses. No other part of the room is burning except for the people at their desks. Their eyes are faced forward, some of them people that you worked with for years, and you can only make it out that it's them by the light of their irises past the flames that engulf them and the black-red charcoal of their bodies. They make no sounds. They make no movements outside of the typing, and they work dutifully at their desks as this big panoramic window of the meadows past, and the boulder in that center, and the forces that converge on that boulder continue. And you hear the slow firewood burning of the skin of your loved ones here in this room.
Damn. Holy shit. Okay. What are they all typing the same thing?
They are.
Is it a word that starts with K?
It might be the word keeper.
Okay. Yeah. God bless. Okay.
There is something that changes the moment that you step onto the carpet of that main room, that working room. As you take the floor, a song begins to play as if from another room. It's a song called Promised Land by Skeletal Family. And
got it.
Most notably, a lyric plays almost as though the song was halfway through when it was began. It felt like we'd been here 1,000 years before, when the door broke open and let in the light.
Okay. Yeah. He's gonna look for the source of the music.
Okay.
Because I think he's cognizant that this isn't that this is like a very much a lucid dream, right? He can navigate, he can move,
you can
witness.
Manipulate. You've grown eyes. You've seen over the meadows. You're starting to realize what was not with you in the last two premonitions, where you were more spectator. You're realizing that then you could have done next to anything, and I think that it comes with the awareness of Torpor and the years you've spent in this place and the insanity that comes with it, the thoughts that have been flooding through your system, that clearly this is what maybe Mokur was trying to teach you, the agency in this. And in that moment, you become aware it's no longer going to play in the other room. I want to know who's playing it.
Yep.
You are aware that up until you met Genevieve, your time at the Las Vegas Sun was a very lonely place. You had friends, but you had friends in the way that water coolers have conversation. But while you were here, one of the first moments that you realized you needed someone in your life was when you spent another birthday alone in the break room of this place with a half-eaten cake that they had made for you the day earlier, sitting in front of you and using the lighter in your pocket to light the same candle over again and ring in the next year. You have an awareness that you think that is where the song Promised Land is playing from. This little cornered room off of the cubicle section that you're only a few steps away from.
Yeah, he moves towards that, kind of riding that melancholy towards that room.
As you come close to that room, your hands rest along that door handle again. You feel again that massive amount of heat. Is there anything you'd like to do before fully committing to opening that door?
Oh shit. Yeah. Oh fuck. What can he do? You know what? He's gonna close his eyes and try to imagine that the door is no longer there.
Okay. Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. Testing the limits of what he can do here.
Hell yeah. I mean, I didn't think you were gonna do that. I love that.
Dream logic, baby. It's a thing.
Yeah. I'm all about it. Let me pull up what I want you to roll.
Okay.
You, you have an ability within you to prevent the beast from taking over others, correct?
I have Panacea, which soothes the mental or emotional turmoil of the subject, restoring them to a modicum of steadfastness.
Beautiful. What is the active roll for Panacea?
Composure plus Auspex.
Go ahead and roll me Composure plus Auspex. And let's see
Okay.
to it that the door disappears.
Fuck yeah, man! That's 4 successes, dude.
4 successes.
I'm gonna screenshot these so you don't know. So you know I'm not full of shit.
Oh, I believe you. Are you kidding me? I happen to be giving you like huge pools here too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I appreciate that.
We're living in Raguel's world right now, so it's hard not to give you big pools.
Hell yeah.
You make the door disappear entirely, and it does. It's gone. In your world, there was never a door here. It was an open threshold. And as you open the door, you quell that fire. You kill the beast's interpretation. You calm it. You bring it to fairness, to understanding, to clemency, to peace. And you quiet the curse inside of you. And every head in the cubicle space douses, and the fire disappears, and their burnt corpses cease typing. And just past that, in the panoramic, as this door disappears, the sky shifts, and the moon lifts, moving past and back away from the horizon. And for a moment, even from here, you can see that the triangled formations have stopped in their tracks. And every head that you have now doused in that room of work has now pivoted, creaked, cracked like breaking firewood down the middle to stare at you. Their broken, gravestoned teeth in among burnt flesh and skeletal remains are now perfectly placed on you. And you can see that in addition to their irises fixed on you, on each there is a third centered iris, each one possessing a golden, dripping sight.
Yeah, he's going to kind of take note of how the scenery has now shifted and changed, and then look into that room.
The music is still playing, but underneath that there is a call. No, you are made to be unmade. You are the white lamb, the gentle sacrifice. You are the greatest part of the bounty of Cain. And on your shoulders shall be his greatest sin, for alone among the children of Cain I have asked the one above for forgiveness. And I have been visited by the worst of one below's demons, those snakes which bit me in my sleeping, those foul worms who suck my blood. I learned from them to take the blackness from the blood, the wounds from the flesh, the evil from the soul. And though I may die, you, my childer, will live on. Open thy eye and see the world truly, and know that what you do now goes on to heal another generation. And inside, in a break room, with The Promised Land by Skeletal Family playing loudly, the sermon comes to a stop. And sitting opposite that birthday cake, opposite a single open chair for yourself, is an individual with long white hair that sits about his shoulders, a recently shaved face that still exposes some stubble, a strong, broad, square-headed form with broad shoulders. white, bushy eyebrows that sit overhead, calm, perfectly light brown eyes that shine underneath the fluorescent light. And these two make-upped or maybe tattooed dots that sit on each of the eyes so that when he blinks, you can see those dots. He wears robes, long and gray, with matching silver vestments almost that sit over it. And the robes are so large that they encapsulate the seat that he sits in here. His hands are placed firmly on the table, palms down. He is unbelievably calm. And in the center of his forehead is an eyeball that is traditionally very normal, light brown, with a little V'd chevron tattooed just under that perfect eye. He is calm, he is kind, and immediately the sounds of flame, everything that was happening to the meadows outside is gone. And even looking behind you through that door threshold, you are no longer in the Las Vegas sun. You are in this break room, but behind you is your apartment. Almost as though this break room has been added onto your one bedroom. Please don't tell your property manager.
Nice. Yeah. Where is this man looking? Is he looking towards Ethan?
Looking square at you. And the flicker of your birthday candle moves there on the center.
Ethan is gonna he's gonna ride it. He's gonna walk in and take a seat across from him and say, "Who are you?"
I am a creation of your curse. I am the lamb, as you are. I am made to be unmade.
I don't even know what to make of all this.
You will make of this whichever you would see fit to your making. This is your interpretation. The future is a malleable thing, to be written and then erased, and then written again, just as we are.
Do you have a name?
I did, but those things are swallowed too.
Yeah. I made a big mistake, didn't I?
You made a decision. There are no mistakes. Nothing exists long enough to matter in that way.
What do I do to stop this from happening?
There is only one thing that our people can do. You can warn them. And then you can complete your purpose.
My lights just died.
I saw that.
I have no idea why. Cool. Well, we're gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
Fuck it, we'll do it live. I'll warn them. Yeah, I'll warn them. They need to turn away from the beast.
They do. It is the only way to our path.
To Golconda.
To Golconda. You must quell the beast, and then give yourself.
Give myself so To what? To Golconda?
The answers are here.
Okay. So I just need to look deeper.
Discern. Use new perspective to find what it is the weave of the world is telling you. If it was laid out for you, it would already be done. Our people discern the answer. We do not have it.
Can Mokir be trusted?
Mokir follows his visions in the same way that you do. He is also the reason for yours. If Mokir cannot be trusted, then neither can these visions. But in the same breath, you are doubtful of these visions yourself. I invite you this. You are the only one to be trusted. But that does not mean that others cannot provide clarity.
Okay. Have you shown yourself to Mokir like you have me?
Mokir's purpose is not to the extreme where yours is. Mokir is on a path of a teacher. You are on the path of a prophet. Mokir is to make you, and you are to give our people divine purpose, to find the path.
Warn them and turn them away from the beast.
It will not be long before it reveals itself, and when it does, you must be ready. They too must be ready.
Okay. I believe. I have to.
Good. Then this is the beginning. And I will be there for you in the end. When you take the next step, we will embrace. And you will know what it is to feel this. And he reaches over and he sets out his wrist plain to you. And takes your hand, if you would allow him.
I would.
He drapes out your index finger and middle finger and pulls it through to place on top of his wrist, and you can feel the thrumming of a heartbeat.
Golconda.
Golconda. There will be a final step, Raguel, and it will require a leap of faith. And the others, they will not understand it, not in the way that you do. But it is yours to take, as it is true of any lamb. Ours is a sacrifice.
Whatever needs to happen to stop this from happening. This can't happen. This won't happen.
We will see. But for now, and he reaches over and he takes the cake and he pushes it forward. Blow out your candles.
Thank you. Then he'll blow out the candle.
And there is this push of energy, this massive change in the room as you fade back to black. And then there is this gravitational pull as you feel physical again, as you feel wrapped up through all of that nerve pain, all of that damage, all of the years spent in this prison begin to unravel, and you step back into your body and you can feel the responsibility in your chest, that dagger 3 inches deep into your heart, pulled free. And you smell for the first time since you left blood. Fresh blood. Before you, in the temple, excuse me, not the temple, what am I saying? Before you, in Mokur's temple,
There.
sewers below the surface. Got ahead of myself, we can't put you somewhere pretty. You wake up in a similar way to your first embrace. In that pool of blood. Disgusting, lost, old blood. And you find instead the source that brought you out of torpor once the dagger was removed. You're looking up at Mokur, who is over you, tattooed face, half-naked body, tawny and ripped, lithed muscles, the triangular eye on his forehead, and that gripped, tight smile beating across his face as he stares down at you, cradling you. You realize that for moments before pulling out the dagger, he had been petting your head back in the blood, almost as though you were some sacred doll. And he speaks and says, Sixth son, you return. Raguel, you return. You are back, and you have seen. And now you are named yet again. You are to name and drink and return. And those words are swirling in your head. It is so hard to hear anything past the hunger in your body. We are going to have you essentially roll for coming out of torpor here, because there is in the center of this pool of blood a unclothed man, 32, 35, 36, 37, who knows, in that range of age. Long hair down to his shoulders. He looks scared beyond all belief. He's skinny, he's lost. He's ramming himself against the locked door of the sewer, trying to escape from this place, and running and slipping across the blood on the slicked sewer stones. We have to see how you do drinking out of torpor.
And will there be another test involved because of my farmer feeding?
Yes.
I have to spend 2 points of willpower to drink human blood.
Okay, so you are going to spend 2 willpower points.
One of the things I took kind of redoing the character and then leveling up was satisfy the hunger.
Oh, what's that do for
where once per session I may lower my hunger by 1 but not below 1 without feeding.
Okay, so you have been slaked 1 hunger already from Mokur to wake you up once the dagger's been removed.
Okay.
So then now you're to hunger 3. And then you said you're going to do that to get down to hunger 2?
Yeah.
We'll just do that. We're going to do willpower, a third from your humanity. I'm going to add an additional difficulty to this, obviously, so it's going to be a harder roll here. But if you manage to succeed, you won't be forced by your body to drink from this human that he's provided in front of you. And if you fail, you will go against what you are and forego the animal to feed off of the human. Okay. And with your frenzy, if you do fail this frenzy, it looks as though you're going to kill this human being and remove the humanity. We cool with that?
Yep, absolutely.
You could either use a willpower to delay frenzy and have this happen somewhere else,
Okay.
or you could roll the self-control roll, and it doesn't say immediately here whether we can use it on self-control rolls, but I'm going to roll yes, and if I'm wrong later, God forbid, I don't care.
No problem. So it's willpower and then a third of my humanity.
You got it.
Okay, rounded down. So a third. I have 8 humanity. I have 8 humanity. A third of that is what, like 2.6. So rounded down is 2.
Yep.
Okay. So that's 3 successes. I rolled 2 on my willpower. I had to roll them separately in demiplane. I rolled 2 on willpower, 1 on humanity.
Okay. Any that are not hunger die, you can spend 1 willpower to re-roll up to 3.
Okay. I will spend one willpower and re-roll up to 3. Okay. And then I will roll 3d10. That is anything over what's the success again? Anything over a 6? No.
Anything 6 and above is a success.
So 2 additional successes.
Rocket. So this is what I'm going to say. You come out of Torpor, the beautiful ability that you've been gifted to quell the beast, to keep the beast calm. The same thing that you were just taught by the lamb in your vision. Same thing that you realized must have been your own teaching. Something that you taught yourself in the majesty that took over in the years you spent in Torpor to put at peace the beast. You managed to prevent yourself from this frenzy call. This is what I'm going to say is the result. You do not have to kill this man. You are at a hunger 2 with your slaked 1 and your
satisfy the hunger.
Yes, you're satisfied the hunger, and Mokur's 1 hunger to you.
Okay.
Meaning that you will have to drink from him, but you do not have to kill him.
Yeah, then I'll drink. I'll drink until I go down to 1.
Tell me what this looks like.
Ethan is probably calmer than he would expect. Raguel is probably calmer than he would expect, and probably calmer than Mokur would expect, having just come out of Torpor. But he will approach the man, and I'm actually going to, if you're okay with it, I'm gonna use Panacea on this guy.
Okay.
And I'm going to restore him to a modicum of steadfastness, which is especially effective when used on mortals, either to help them through momentary agitation or to calm them before feeding on them.
Okay.
So I do have to make a rouse check, it says, I believe. 1 rouse check. So I'll make a rouse check.
Go ahead and roll that. 6 and above, you're okay. Less than that, you're hungry.
That is a success.
Okay.
And then now I will roll my composure plus auspex. But that is only 1 success.
Okay, that's more than enough. I don't even think you necessarily have to roll for a mortal. He's in a state ready to be calm, and you immediately. What does it look like for a panacea to happen to this individual?
Ethan maintains eye contact with him, but more importantly, with that third eye as well, and just slowly approaches him and places a hand on his shoulder and says, "I'm sorry for this."
He goes immediately slack. The screaming, the scratching at the walls, the throwing his body. You can see where he's broken his collarbone trying to get through this door, and his body goes so limp in your hold that it's almost like he's been sedated. And he just looks at you almost with the same sort of clarity and softness, calm, as the lamb did just before. And you have him in your arms, ready to drink.
I will just, as gently as I can, given the grisly nature of what I need to do, I will bite into his wrist and I will drink.
Beautiful. We'll pull you all the way down to 1, slake your thirst enough that you can exist again, and you fall back from this short torpor in Mokur's place here, sitting in this collection of blood. The individual immediately passes out the second that you pull your hands and mouth free from the wrist, and passes out into the blood, sitting up, floating essentially. The blood's not thick enough for them to drown. And Mokur stands, looming himself up out of the blood as he always does, to look over you, that big grin on his face. It's maybe the third time you've ever seen him smile, and it's absolutely disconcerting. His bald head still dripping in some of this new viscous old blood that he's been bathing in. And he extends out his arms. You can see his fingernails entirely too long to the point where they've started to curl into those long swirls. And he extends himself out for an embrace to you then.
Raguel will approach and embrace.
You go and you hold him, and he holds you. There's a moment where you can feel the slickness against your cheek, and you think it's the blood sort of congealing off from Mokur's side, until you realize that it's his tongue lapping against your side to clean some of the spray from your drinking. And he slides himself along your face, if you allow him to, until he is forehead to forehead with you, nose to nose, touching to you. And in the moment of this tender embrace, roll for me a wits plus awareness.
Okay. I can absolutely do that, and I shall. And dupe. That's a good pool. 3 successes.
Beautiful. This is enough that even as Mokur is preoccupied with you, and he dominates a lot of your perspective here, your third eye engages with your environment, and you become uniquely aware that while originally you thought this to be the place that you came to after your first embrace, and while it replicates almost exactly the same operation and aesthetic, looking past Mokur's decorations and collection of this place, the walls are different.
Okay.
So while in your hunger, you were close enough to assume that it was the original spot, you think you're in a different place.
Okay.
Mokur breaks from you and says, "Raguel, my named, it is time. We have a sacred purpose, and it is ours to take."
I'm ready.
Follow me. You follow Mokur through a new sewer system.
Okay.
He takes you down an access way and out through gray water. And it's a lot more humid. It's a lot more dense. There's much more water in these systems. And by the time that you break out, you are wading exclusively in gray water with Mokur as he takes you out of a gated, like wrought iron spillway into what you assume might be a swamp, a moor, a waterway, and you walk for some time under the water. The reeds moving about, and that bizarre feeling of no breath in your chest and the ability to walk for hours underneath the surface. And eventually moving through the dark green murkied waters, stepping with Mokur, you surface. And he is the first to, and following through, bidding after the sway of his robes underneath the water and little else, as your eyes struggle to keep up. You step out into the wilderness of what feels almost like this foreign jungle. You walk with him through these tall trees and this layer of water that sits maybe chest high, so that the only thing you're following is Mokur's shoulders underneath the moonlight. You know that the weather is different. You know that the location is different. You know that you're not in Nevada. If this was Nevada, it is the strangest part of Nevada you've ever seen.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Is there anything you ask of him in the time of travel?
Where are we?
I imagine you've asked this after moving through the waters, after coming through. Your body is still getting over torpor. There's this gaping wound in your chest where the stake had gone through. Your faculties are wrong. You feel wrong.
Yeah.
And we continue on. As you break the surface, he does turn to you and he speaks. We are on the first steps to Golconda. And we are in a place near and dear to our beliefs. And he doesn't say much else on location.
Okay. I'll begin just telling him what I saw.
You regale everything. Do you tell him of the lamb, of the sun, of your apartment, of the pathways?
I tell him everything.
Mokur is strangely silent. He begins initially to comment on things and assure you in affirmatives. Yes, I see, I understand. Until you mention the lamb. And then he falls deathly quiet. And at that point, as the lamb is mentioned, he does not say another word to you for the rest of the night.
Oh.
Is there anything you would like to do for the remainder of travel? It will be another 3 hours of walking.
If he doesn't respond, at some point, like, I'll let us walk in silence for a little bit longer, and like maybe Raguel is thinking maybe he's just processing, he's just mulling over what I've just told him. But Raguel will speak up and say, probably like the last hour to half hour of their trip.
Yeah.
I need to know something, and I need you to trust me enough to tell me the answer. I need to know if you're responsible for what was happening to the Nosferatu in Vegas.
He stops in his tracks. His feet, bare, begin to sink into the mud. There are insects flying about the two of you, being that you are both corpses. And so here, in the small moonlight that enraptures the two very dark shapes of you, your preternatural senses being the only way that you can see him at all, you can tell that there is no motion in his body. And without a heart to beat, he is more still than anything else in this world. There's a pivot in the mud. He moves like lightning. And for a moment, he is right there in front of you, an inch off from your face, and you can see the grease in his dead teeth. I have sent you to cleanse them, and you accuse me of my involvement.
I was lost, Mokur. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know what was happening. It was so much happening so quickly. And you're right. I lacked faith and I lacked understanding. I lacked trust. But what I saw, I can't afford to do that anymore.
You have been named. You have been given sight. You have been given now understanding. You will set the parameters for what you can no longer endure. But it is no one's to blame another. I am not responsible for what you cannot hold. I am only responsible for trusting in you.
I'm sorry.
There is no apology, where there is no mistake. But I will not invite ignorance.
Nor should you.
Raguel, you have been granted something larger than any of our blood. I have never seen one like you. You have been visited by the Land. And now you bleed like him. And Mokur reaches out and he takes his thumb and he presses it to your forehead. And he comes free and he shows you the tip of his long, gnarled nails where it had touched at you. And there is a drip of gold lighting along his thumb.
That's from me?
That is you.
How is that possible?
You are changing. It must be by his visitation. By your change, you have found purpose.
Then we'll do this together.
For as long as I can.
Yeah, Raguel kind of sits with that for a minute.
An hour later, you arrive at the outskirts of a property. Walled in, very nice ironed gate to the entrance. Huge orchard trees that line this long carway that extend up to the front of the estate. And then a large plantation mansion at the edge. When you arrive at the gates on foot, an estate member, a valet, meets with Mokur. He asks for you to step off for a moment as they discuss. And then the gates are opened for the two of you. Mokur returns to you, and you begin stepping down the middle of this pathway.
I'm sorry, yeah, there's just something surreal about like this half-robed guy with gnarled, like, you know, fingernails covered in swamp waters strolling on up to this plantation and just, yep, okay, come on in. So, yeah, so, okay, cool.
The valet does approach you once the conversation with Mokur is done, as he begins to walk the two of you up the pathway. And he says, we invite you both to stay with us for the night. It would mean the world to Mr. Sheffield if the two of you would take to washing before our meeting. If there is anything you should need while you're here in the big house, please don't hesitate to ask. We thank you both for your time.
Change of clothes would be great.
I believe Mr. Sheffield has arranged for some new outfits, given that there is, with great respect, no ability to meet you in the ones you're wearing now.
No, that is entirely fair, and you don't need to dance around it. We probably smell like shit.
Among other things.
Thank you.
The valet walks you through to the edge. There's this circular receiving courtyard. And on either side, there are two smaller houses to the estate, and then this very large plantation house, what must be the big house he was referring to. The valet steps you off to a building on the right, and through past a set of stables where there are 4 quarter horses set in the stable rooms. Some of them being tended to by a farmhand for the night, being set down, basically. And then you... Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. This occurred to me. Did the valet have an accent?
Yes. I can't really do Cajun, but definitely sounds like you might be in that lower southeastern. You imagine? I mean, without a roll, you're probably near Louisiana. You got to be.
Got it. Cool. Okay. That's what I was suspecting. Or you were really mad at me and you put me in Florida.
Well, so. I honestly thought about it. The two places Raguel almost went to were New Orleans and Miami. I have it written down. So beautiful.
I love it. Okay. Sorry, I apologize. Continue.
You're totally fine. They walk you past the stables, in through the additional door to the next of it, into almost like a house for the help. You pass by some wait staff, some people that are clearly working here at the estate. Everything is very modern on the inside, almost as though this is a very old building that's been retrofitted to fit the new times. Everyone inside feels far overdressed compared to the two of you. In fact, you get some strange looks as Mokur tracks a huge amount of mud through the room, and the two of you could not look more out of place as there is almost some like nightly news playing in the room as some of the wait staff are spending their night off sitting in the commons room, and it is broken entirely. This conversation comes to a dead heat as Mokur steps in and waddles through to the staircase, tracking himself through dried blood and feces and trash accumulated around him, and you looking none better, draped with the blood along your chin there. And of course, the two of you bearing the third eye of Cello with you. So, a lot of things going on here. But you're taken upstairs, you're taken into a bedroom, and set out before you is a set of two robes, essentially, vestments that look almost identical to Mokur's usual dressings. Yours comes with a shirt, unlike Mokur's.
Excellent.
But it is essentially as though you're being dressed as a peon to your sire.
Yeah. I mean, Ethan's mind is reeling, right? Like, he doesn't know how long he's been gone for. He doesn't know what day it is, what time it is, exactly where he is. He suspects, but doesn't know. And just, I think he's too overwhelmed to do anything but go along with it.
Right.
And so he'll clean, he'll dress, and he will present himself as needed.
Got it. You clean, you dress, you go into the restroom to care for your body. Something that Mokur is not necessarily doing himself, may need some inspiration from you. But by the time that you get in there, you get in front of that mirror, you're putting on the vestments, and then you take your first good look at yourself after waking up. I mean, it's like retracing who is Ethan, who is Raguel, who is the person you're still with. And you notice the change. And it's true what Mokur has said. You're different now. You bleed like him. Vince, I want you to tell me how Ethan's eye has changed in Torpor.
His eye is now... It's more like we're going to work outside in. So from the outside, it's not this jagged hole that it was, where it looked like something ripped its way out from underneath. It looks like an eye that has always been there and is always supposed to be there. It looks no different from the two, what we would consider primary eyes on his face. It is golden irised, almost bird-like in its appearance, and gone is that constant look of like rage or vengeance, or just that blaring red like sclera to it. It's now golden and almost peaceful to look at. Like when I think when Ethan looks at that eye, it's like he's sitting down across from the lamb again, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. you catch your own eyes. And that third perspective is back with you. You're staring into that mirror. And you're seeing the new version of yourself. The one that will bring peace. The one that will calm the beast. And I think we're going to end our one-on-one session here.
Okay.
I understand that there's a lot of meat left on this bone.
That's okay.
And with that, I am suggesting that we continue the Summer of Raguel with another one-on-one session.
Yes.
Where we see what happens in the big house of the Sheffield estate with you and Mokur invited to stay the night.
I would love that. That would be amazing.
Perfect. So, me and Vince are obviously going to be doing this. That means that the rest of you are invited as well.
Of course.
Thank you so much for being here with us for another one-on-one session with Raguel. I'm so happy we got to fill in a lot of the blank spaces that took place in that torpor. I know the time still feels up in the air, but understand that this is happening in the time in between up until season 2, and some answers will be made, and certainly enough that Vince has an awareness to go into season 2 knowing where they are and what they're doing. As for what we find at the Sheffield estate, here's hoping it's something good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. We're in Louisiana.
Hell yeah. Only good things happen in Louisiana.
Yeah, we're down in New Orleans. Come on. It'll be great.
It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you, Vince, so much for staying
you, man.
here,
Dude,
for playing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for running this. This is such a great reintroduction. I'm so fucking excited.
I love doing our dream stuff, so anytime we get together and get to do a Raguel vision, I'm all about it.
Hell yeah, man.
Plenty more where that came from. And a little behind the scenes little snippet here for those watching. In our prep for season 2, Vince rolled some things to decide on what has happened over the summer. One of which was a huge success on the path to Golconda, meaning that the path has been revealed as for 2 parameters to make Golconda a real thing. And I think that they were revealed here in this session. And if you didn't see them, they were definitely there. And cool. I guess we'll figure it out on whether Vince can solve that puzzle and find out what is going on here. Maybe Vince can share his Hebrew translation with some of the patrons, and they can help you crack that case. Or maybe you'll find it. Maybe you'll plug it into Google Translate and know exactly what I did. So
that's probably what's going to happen. Yeah. But thank you, man.
I bastardized that thing, so good luck.
Cool.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you.
Have a good summer, y'all. We'll continue our Summer of Raguel very shortly. See you on the next one.